Jetstar 288, Christchurch Tower, wind 345 at 4, runway 20, cleared for takeoff.
QNH1004.
Runway 20, cleared for takeoff, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 265 Lima, exit right at Alpha 4.
Exit right at Alpha 4, New Zealand 265 Lima.
1000.
Jetstar 288, wind 325 at 1 tree, runway 34 cleared to land.
Runway 34 cleared to land, Jetstar 288.
Exiting from editing mode. Please wait.
Above. Minimum. Retard.
New Zealand 873 Lima, runway 34, line up and wait. Runway 34, line up and wait. New Zealand 873 Lima. Jetstar 288, exit right at Alpha 2.
Auto brake on.
Exit right at Alpha 2, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 884 Lima, holding short, runway 3.
Boarding requested. Do you want to board crew? Pilot's boarding starting. Crew boarding starting.
Transition level 150. Advise on initial contact you have information Romeo. Christchurch Airport information Romeo. 1854 Zulu. Wind 325 at 1. Visibility 10 miles or more. Temperature 04. Dew point 02. QNH 0999. VFR conditions. Landing and departing runway 20. Transition level 150. Advise on initial contact you have information Romeo. Christchurch Airport information Romeo. 1854 Zulu. Wind 325 at 1.
Your crew has boarded.
Boarding pass,
Passengers
please.
boarding starting.
Good morning. May I see your boarding pass? This way, please. Hello? Hello? This way, please. Welcome on board. Welcome on board. Welcome on board. This way.
Jetstar 288, ready to copy IFR clearance to Wellington.
Good morning.
Jetstar 288, Christchurch delivery. Expect runway 20, Pedme 1 Quebec departure, with the GRETA transition. Squawk 4563.
Pedme 1 Quebec departure with the GRETA transition. Squawk for 563. Jetstar 288.
Good morning.
Jetstar 288, read back correct. Contact ground 121.9 when ready for push or start.
We'll contact ground 121.9 when ready for pushback or engine start. Jetstar 288. Have a good morning. Thanks.
Welcome on board. May I see your boarding pass, please? Hello. May I see your boarding pass, sir? Good morning.
New Zealand 526 at gate 18, request pushback and engine start.
New Zealand 526, Christchurch ground. Pushback and engine start approved. Face northeast.
Pushback approved, face northeast, New Zealand 526.
Sounds S711. Contact Christchurch Tower 118.4 bye-bye.
Over to Tower 118.4. Sounds S711. Bye-bye.
All aircraft be advised information Sierra now current, QNH0999.
New Zealand 526, ready to taxi to the active.
New Zealand 526, runway 20 taxi via Alpha, Alpha 2.
Boarding completed.
Runway 20 taxi via Alpha, Alpha 2, New Zealand 526.
Refueling truck is on its way.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Catering vehicles are on their way. Fuel truck is in position.
New Zealand 526, contact Christchurch Tower 118.4.
Over to Tower 118.4, New Zealand 526.
New Zealand 519, gate 18 taxi via Alpha 6 Alpha. Hold short runway 11.
Gate 18 via Alpha 6 Alpha. Hold short runway 11, New Zealand 519.
New Zealand 519, cross runway 11 at Alpha 11. Continue taxi via Alpha.
Cross runway 11 at Alpha 11. Continue taxi via Alpha, New Zealand 519. Jetstar 228, at gate 22, request pushback and engine start.
Jetstar 228, Christchurch ground, pushback approved. Face northeast.
Pushback approved, face northeast, Jetstar 228.
New Zealand 178 Mike, ramp 9er, request pushback and engine start.
New Zealand 178 Mike, Christchurch ground, pushback approved. Face southwest.
Pushback approved. Face southwest, New Zealand 178 Mike.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted. Locking gear. Jetstar 228, request taxi to the active.
Jetstar 228, runway 20 taxi via Alpha, Alpha 2.
Runway 20 taxi via Alpha, Alpha 2, Jetstar 228.
Jetstar 288, at gate 27 request pushback.
Jetstar 288, Christchurch ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face northeast.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face northeast, Jetstar 288.
Release parking brakes, please.
New Zealand 178 Mike, request taxi.
Commencing push.
New Zealand 178 Mike, runway 20 taxi via Foxtrot, Alpha, Alpha 2.
Runway 20 taxi via Foxtrot, Alpha, Alpha 2, New Zealand 178 Mike.
Jetstar 228, contact Christchurch Tower 118.4, have a good morning.
Contact Tower 118.4, Jetstar 228. Please set parking brakes. Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Flight attendants, please.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
New Zealand 178 Mike, contact Christchurch Tower 118.4.
Contact Tower 118.4, New Zealand 178 Mike. Have a good morning.
Jetstar 288, ready to taxi to the active.
Jetstar 288, runway 20 taxi via Alpha, Alpha 2.
Runway 20 taxi via Alpha, Alpha 2 Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 616 Mike, ramp 8, request pushback and engine start. New Zealand 616 Mike, Christchurch ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face northwest. Pushback approved. Face northwest. New Zealand 616 Mike. Jetstar 288, contact Christchurch Tower 118.4.
Over to Tower 118.4 Jetstar 288, bye-bye. Jetstar 288, ready to go, runway 20.
Jetstar 288, Christchurch Tower, wind 345 at 4, runway 20, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 20, cleared for takeoff, Jetstar 288.
288, contact Christchurch departure 126.1.
Contact Christchurch departure 126.1 Jetstar 288. Christchurch departure, Jetstar 288, good morning, 1,400 feet.
Jetstar 288, Christchurch departure, identified, climb to 2,000 feet.
Climb to 2,000 feet, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 178 Mike. Contact New Zealand Centre 119.2.
Contact New Zealand Centre 119.2, New Zealand 178 Mike. Christchurch departure, New Zealand 616 Mike, good morning, 1,100 feet.
New Zealand 616 Mike, Christchurch departure, good morning, identified, climb to 10,000 feet.
Climb to 10,000 feet, New Zealand 616 Mike.
Jetstar 288, contact New Zealand Centre 119.2.
Contact New Zealand Centre 119.2 Jetstar 288. New Zealand Centre, Jetstar 288, out of 10,500 feet for 12,000 feet direct PEDME.
Jetstar 288, New Zealand Centre, identified, climb to flight level 250.
Climb to flight level 250, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 849 Lima, Upbees 1 Bravo, runway 20. Report ready for descent.
Upbees 1 Bravo, runway 20, ready for descent, New Zealand 849 Lima.
New Zealand 849 Lima, descend to 9,000 feet, QNH 0999.
Descend to 9,000 feet, New Zealand 849 Lima.
New Zealand 849 Lima. Contact Christchurch, approach 128.75.
Contact Christchurch approach 128.75, New Zealand 849 Lima.
New Zealand 201 Lima, New Zealand Centre. Expect radar vectors. RNAV runway 24.
Expect radar vectors. RNAV runway 24, New Zealand 201 Lima.
New Zealand 201 Lima, you were assigned flight level 220. I show you at flight level 209er. Climb to flight level 220.
Roger. Climb to flight level 220, New Zealand 201 Lima. New Zealand Centre, New Zealand 616 Mike, through 7,000 feet for 10,000 feet.
New Zealand 616 Mike, New Zealand Centre, good morning, radar contact, climb to flight level 170. Jetstar 288, wards for Charlie, runway 34, descend to 10,000 feet, QNH 1004.
Wards for Charlie, runway 34, descend to 10,000 feet, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 201 Lima, QNH 100 expect radar vectors for RNAV runway 24.
QNH 1003 expect radar vectors for RNAV runway 24, New Zealand 201 Lima.
Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach. If you are up, once you return to your
New Zealand 201 Lima, descend to flight level 100.
Please prepare the cap for right.
Descend to flight level 100, New Zealand 201 Lima.
New Zealand Centre, New Zealand 745 Mike, descending 1,300 feet for 10,000 feet direct to Dara. New Zealand 745 Mike, New Zealand Centre, identified, climb to flight level 160. Climb to flight level 160, New Zealand 745 Mike. New Zealand 745 Mike, contact New Zealand Centre 120.9er, bye-bye. Contact New Zealand Centre 120.9er, New Zealand 745 Mike, bye-bye. New Zealand 265 Lima, contact Wellington approach 119.3.
Contact Wellington approach 119.3, New Zealand 265 Lima.
New Zealand Centre, New Zealand 842 Lima, passing 7,000 feet for 10,000 feet direct Porum.
New Zealand 842 Lima, New Zealand Centre, identified, climb to flight level 170.
Climb to flight level 170, New Zealand 842 Lima.
New Zealand 201 Lima, descend to flight level 090.
Descend to flight level 090, New Zealand 201 Lima.
New Zealand 201 Lima, turn left, heading 175, vectors for the approach.
Turn left, heading 175, New Zealand 201 Lima.
New Zealand 201 Lima, descend to 6,000 feet, QNH100 tree.
Descend to 6,000 feet, QNH1003, New Zealand 201 Lima.
New Zealand 060 Mike, increase speed to 210 knots.
Increase speed to 210 knots, New Zealand 060 Mike.
New Zealand 060 Mike, resume normal speed.
Resume normal speed, New Zealand 060 Mike.
Jetstar 288. Contact Wellington approach 119.3.
Contact Wellington approach 119.3, Jetstar 288. Wellington approach, Jetstar 288, good morning, 10,000 feet with information Golf.
Jetstar 288 Wellington approach, QNH 1004, expect the RNAV X-ray runway 34 with the meter transition.
QNH 100 for expect the RNAV X-ray runway 34 with the meter transition, Jetstar 288.
Jetstar 288, descend to 7,000 feet, QNH 1004.
Descend to 7,000 feet, QNH 1004, Jetstar 288.
Jetstar 288, descend to 3,000 feet.
Descend to 3,000 feet, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 265 Lima, cleared direct Umaga, cross Umaga at or above 2,000 feet, cleared ILS runway 34.
Cleared direct Umaga, cross Umaga at or above 2,000 feet, cleared ILS runway 34, New Zealand 265 Lima.
Jetstar 288, cleared direct meter, cross meter at or above 3,000 feet, cleared RNAV X-ray runway 34.
Cleared direct meter, cross meter at or above 3,000 feet, cleared RNAV X-ray runway 34, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 265 Lima, contact Wellington Tower 118.8.
Contact Tower 118.8, New Zealand 265 Lima.
Jetstar 288, established on final approach.
Jetstar 288, affirmative. Jetstar 288, contact Wellington Tower 118.8.
Contact Tower 118.8, Jetstar 288. Have a good morning. Wellington Tower, Jetstar 288, RNAV X-ray runway 34.
Jetstar 288, Wellington Tower, continue.
Wilco, Jetstar 288.
Flight attendants, please prepare for that.
$2,500.
Aircraft be advised, information hotel now current, QNH1004. New Zealand 265 Lima, exit right at Alpha 4.
Exit right at Alpha 4, New Zealand 265 Lima.
Jetstar 288, wind tree 25 at 1 tree, runway tree 4 cleared to land.
Runway 3 for cleared to land, Jetstar 288.
400. 100 above. Minimum. $50, $40, $30, $20. Retard.
New Zealand 873 Lima. Runway tree 4, line up and wait. Runway tree 4, line up and wait. New Zealand 873 Lima. Jetstar 288. Exit right at Alpha 2.
Auto brake off.
Exit right at Alpha 2, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 884 Lima, holding short, runway tree 4.
New Zealand 873 Lima, Wellington Tower. Wind tree 25 at 1 tree, runway tree 4, cleared for takeoff. Runway tree 4, cleared for takeoff. New Zealand 873 Lima. Jetstar 288. Contact ground 121.9.
Ground 121.9, Jetstar 288. Jetstar 288, request taxi to allocated gate.
Jetstar 288. Gate 25 taxi via Alpha, Bravo 5 Bravo.
Gate 25 via Alpha, Bravo 5 Bravo, Jetstar 288.
New Zealand 605, gate 25, request pushback. New Zealand 605, Wellington ground, hold position for traffic. Hold position, New Zealand 605.
New Zealand 305 Lima at ramp 11, request pushback and engine start.
New Zealand 305 Lima, Wellington ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face southwest.
Pushback approved, face southwest, New Zealand 305 Lima.
New Zealand 605, Wellington ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face south. Pushback and engine start approved. Face south, New Zealand 605.
New Zealand 305 Lima, taxi for departure. New Zealand 305 Lima, runway 34 taxi via Charlie, uniform, Bravo 10 Alpha, Alpha 10.
The boarding passenger's bus is coming.
Runway 34 taxi via Charlie, uniform, Bravo 10, Alpha, Alpha 10, New Zealand 305 Lima.
New Zealand 605, ready to taxi to the active. New Zealand 605, runway 34 taxi via Bravo 5 Bravo, Bravo 10 Alpha, Alpha 10. Runway 34 taxi via Bravo 5 Bravo, Bravo 10 Alpha, Alpha 10, New Zealand 605. New Zealand 305 Lima, contact Wellington Tower 118.8 bye-bye.
Contact Tower 118.8, New Zealand 305 Lima.
New Zealand 264 Mike, at ramp 78, request pushback and engine start.
New Zealand 264 Mike, Wellington ground, pushback approved. Face west.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face west, New Zealand 264 Mike.
New Zealand 605, contact Wellington Tower 118.8. Over to Tower 118.8, New Zealand 605.
New Zealand 282 Lima, at ramp 12, request pushback and engine start.
New Zealand 282 Lima, Wellington ground, pushback approved. Face southwest.
Passenger's bus is coming.
Pushback approved. Face southwest, New Zealand 282 Lima. New Zealand 264 Mike, ready to taxi to the active.
New Zealand 264 Mike, runway 34 taxi via Quebec, Bravo, Bravo 10 Alpha, Alpha 10.
Runway 34 taxi via Quebec, Bravo, Bravo 10, Alpha, Alpha 10, New Zealand 264 Mike. New Zealand 282 Lima, request taxi to the active.
New Zealand 282 Lima, runway 34 taxi via Charlie, uniform, Bravo 10 Alpha, Alpha 10.
Runway 34 taxi via Charlie, Uniform, Bravo 10, Alpha, Alpha 10, New Zealand 282 Lima.
New Zealand 264 Mike, contact Wellington Tower 118.8.
Contact Tower 118.8, New Zealand 264 Mike.
You want to deboard crew. Crew boss is coming.
New Zealand 282 Lima, contact Wellington Tower 118.8.
Over to Tower 118.8, New Zealand 282 Lima.
Crew deboarding starting. Your crew has deboarded.
New Zealand 820 Mike, ramp 1 right, request pushback. New Zealand 820 Mike, Wellington ground, pushback and engine start approved. Face west. Pushback approved, face west, New Zealand 820 Mike.